Hey Toy fans, I'm D21Beast and welcome back to my figure review series here on my YouTube channel. And today we're continuing our look at those 2005 Fantastic Four movie figures released by Toy Biz. In front of you, we've got the Clobberin Time Thing, based on the likeness of actor Michael Chiklis, who portrayed the character in the 2005 film Fantastic Four. Now this review is going to be a little bit backwards. We're going to start with the accessories for this figure. As you can see, we do have Thing with a trench coat, sunglasses, and a hat. So these are actually some pretty cool items to include with the movie figure, and this particular version of Thing comes from a scene in the movie when he tries to visit his wife after he's been transformed into this orange rock monster. Now all the accessories that you see here are removable. We have the hat that just comes right off of the top, and it's actually painted with a nice shading effect, and it's sculpted very nicely and fits the figure just fine. And then he has these sunglasses that just come off. Now the sunglasses themselves have little pegs on the inside of the frames. You can see them there on either side, and they plug into holes on the figure's head, but it's just a solid black piece of plastic. And then of course we have Thing's trench coat. Now this is probably the highlight of the figure, but as you can see here, it is stitched all the way around along the collar, around the wrist. It's got a nice belt that you can tie as you flip it around. You can see there's more stitch work on the back. You'll see these plugs coming in the back for the action feature of the figure, and we'll get to those in just a moment. But really, this coat is completely removable if you don't want to have it on the Thing figure. You can just untie the belt, and you can see the coat does completely open up. You can pull it off the figure, and really the only thing keeping this coat on the figure permanently is that peg on the back for the action feature. Now, if you give this a nice tug, this will actually come off. And once you have this piece removed, you can go ahead and remove the trench coat pretty nicely, and then you have a standard superhero costume Thing. So that's pretty great. You actually get two figures in one with this Thing. Civilian and Thing in his superhero uniform. Now that we have all the accessories removed from this Thing figure, let's go ahead and take a look at the painting and sculpt work on this guy. I think the head sculpt is actually really nice. It's made of a softer, rubbery material, and I'll show you why here just in a moment. But they did paint the teeth and paint the eyes, and I think that's great. Thing does have his baby blues there, as you can see. Coming down the body, we have all this craggy rock material with sort of a, I believe it's an orange plastic with sort of a yellow wash coming down over the torso of the figure. He's got the same sort of sculpting here on his arms with that same wash moving all the way through, and the same thing on the other side. As you come down to the pants, you're going to see that he does have the logo painted on his waist. He's got black for the belt, and then, kind of like what we saw with the Mr. Fantastic figure, he's got a wash on the gray section of his costume, as well as the blue section of his costume, and then he's got the boots down here that also have a wash on them. So overall, the sculpting on this guy is really, really nice, I think, and I think the paintwork is very nice too. Now let's talk about this big button here. The Thing figure actually has a rubberized textury mouth, actually his whole head is made out of that rubbery material. And when you press this button on the back, it actually makes Thing try to slam his fist together. And as you can hear there, he does say his trademark phrase. Let's play that for you one more time. So pretty appropriate to have Thing shouting, "It's clobberin' time." But at the same time you push that button, the mouth is actually opening and closing just a little bit. So I think that's kind of a nice sort of action feature. And also, you can just kind of play around with the jaw too if you want. The face is just completely rubberized and movable. So that's the sculpting of the figure. I think it looks really good. I think the paint is really good. But I do have to admit those two buttons on his back are kind of an eyesore. Moving on to articulation, this Thing figure can be kind of a letdown. His head actually doesn't move at all, doesn't move down, doesn't move up, doesn't rotate. I'm sure that's to facilitate the smashing arm feature. And for the same reason, his shoulder doesn't rotate at all, but he does have bicep swivel, a single jointed elbow. There we go, with a ratchet inside. He has wrist articulation that bends down that far and up that far. No finger articulation, no wrist swivel or anything like that. And then the other side here does have that same rotation at the bicep, single jointed elbow, and then the hinge at the hand that bends down and back. There is no waist articulation on this figure, again, probably to support the features that he has. He's got ball-jointed hips that allow his leg to move forward that far and move back, about that far. It can bend out from the body very nicely. He has a double-jointed knee, which does collapse nicely. There is no boot rotation like we have with the Mr. Fantastic, but his foot will bend down that far and up that far. He does have toe articulation, and there is a tiny bit of ankle pivot. I'm not sure if that's intentional or just a byproduct of how the figure is put together, but really, the articulation is severely lacking in this figure. Height-wise, we can see that this Thing figure does stand right about 7 inches tall. For some size comparison, here we have Clobberin Time Thing compared to the Marvel Legends Fantastic Four box set Thing figure. Here he is compared to one of the 2003 Ang Lee Hulk figures. Not sure the scale's quite right. Here he is compared to the shape-shifting Mr. Fantastic and the Flying Human Torch, all part of the same series. And finally, here he is compared to the 6-inch scale Marvel Legends Infinite Series Wolverine. Hey, Commish, what time is it?
It's clobberin' time!
Yeah, I thought so, bub. Alright, toy fans, well that's my review of the Fantastic Four movie series Clobberin Time Thing figure, released by Toy Biz in 2005. Overall, this figure is definitely a bit of a mixed bag. I really enjoy the accessories that he comes with, and I think they were all done very nicely, but this figure's articulation is so limited. There's not a lot you're going to be able to do with him, unless you're into this guy for the play value, or you just want some sort of statue-esque piece that you can just set on a shelf and never move. But if you're into articulated comic book art, or really just posing your figures on your shelf, you're going to be a bit disappointed with this guy, so definitely keep that in mind. Ultimately, though, your enjoyment of this figure is going to rest on your opinion of the movie. If you like the film, you're probably going to be into this guy. If you didn't, then you probably want to give him a pass. Personally, I think the trench coat's a true highlight of this figure, and I've actually borrowed it from my Hellboy figure for the last several years. Well, thanks for watching this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you saw here, please feel free to rate, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.
It's Clobberin Time!